The state of Oklahoma just passed a bill that labels Hispanics as a threat to the state, and any Hispanic right now is fearing for their life. Hello, welcome back to our channel. Now, the recent legislation passed in Oklahoma has caused significant distress among the Hispanic community, as they are now unfairly labeled as a threat to the state. Under this bill, Hispanics could be held accountable for gang-related crimes and activities deemed threatening. Many Hispanics are expressing frustration and seeking to raise awareness in hopes of amending this discriminatory legislation. Moreover, questions arise about why is it only Hispanics that are targeted as threats when individuals from other racial backgrounds also engage in alarming behavior. Now, we've lined up some reaction videos from the Hispanic community so that we may be guided through these murky waters. If you're ready to have this conversation with us, please show your support by liking and subscribing to our channel. Now, let's get started.
So this is horrible. A Republican lawmaker in Oklahoma introduced a bill to label Hispanics as This is Bill HB 3133, which puts any member of a street gang or anybody who has gang-related activities as also puts any person who is of Hispanic descent living within the state of Oklahoma as a check this out. If you are Hispanic and are a Oklahoma, you will have your assets, your property, your vehicles, and your money taken from you. Do you understand this is the colonist playbook, right? They're calling Hispanic the same way they would call indigenous people savages as a way to justify stealing their land and their property from them. And after getting backlash for this bill, Humphrey responded with, "I apologize for using the word Hispanic, but I was not wrong. Again, these are Hispanic. Reality is they are Hispanic. There's nothing to be ashamed with." What are you talking about? There is no shame with being Hispanic at all. There should be shame with the kind of bills you're producing. And then you try to say, okay, I won't use the language Hispanic, but I'll use the language undocumented blank or something like that. You know, those two terms are not interchangeable, right? Not all Hispanic people are undocumented, and not all undocumented people are Hispanic. But just pay attention to this, because Republicans are now pushing to call any Hispanic person or any undocumented person a terrorist.
Let's talk about Republicans J.J. Humphrey's incredibly rich bill. Reading this article's title and analyzing the verbiage of the bill, which you can pause to read, I can already infer what the defense for this outrageously racist bill is going to be. Let me fully get out of the way so you can pause to read. That's literally the entire bill. The way they're going to defend this is by saying that they are only calling Hispanic gang members, only the gang members. But you have to ask yourself, why Hispanic at all? Why not every gang member? But if you look at America's history, it's not that hard to decipher. Let's use the new Jim Crow for reference by Michelle Alexander, starting on page 255, but the part I really want to show you on page 256 and 257. For reference, the movement she's speaking of here is a movement against drunk driving. Media coverage of the movement peaked in 1988 when a drunk driver traveling the wrong way in Interstate 71 in Kentucky caused a head-on collision with a school bus. 27 people died and dozens more were injured in the ensuing fire. Drunk drivers are predominantly white and male. White comprised 78% of the arrests for this offense in 1990. With that in mind, I want to take you back to 256. At the close of the decade, drunk drivers were responsible for approximately 22,000 deaths annually, and they are generally charged with misdemeanors and typically receive sentences involving fines, license suspension, and community service. And that is why they only want to label Hispanic gang members as they don't want to put a blanket statement that all gang members are, because they have a demographic they need to protect. And we all know which demographic that is.
I'm pretty sure we're all aware of the level of insanity that is currently befalling the state of Oklahoma as they try to pass a bill that labels all Hispanic people. It's certainly not a state I'm going to plan on visiting on because they seem to not like me. It is profoundly sad that there are Republicans who will try to gaslight you, being like, this is not what it means. He actually means this. It's not xenophobic. It's not this. When you look at the bill, it is racist, like across the board. Like, dog, there's no way you can defend this when it literally says it classifies Hispanic people as this, no matter where they're from. This bill, making no distinction, defines anyone who is of Hispanic descent to be living within the state of Oklahoma as a terrorist. The Republican who wrote the bill, J.J. Humphrey, somewhat tried to apologize, which I wouldn't even label an apology. He just basically doubled down on his view of Hispanic people. In his discriminatory bill, it deems any gang members of Hispanic descent as terrorists. The bill is known as HB 3133, which seeks to combat problems in the state such as controlled substance and human trafficking, because I cannot fully say the word, and it lays out punishments to those people who have committed these so-called acts of terror. The backlash was severe from some Oklahomans who said, "Tell us your race without telling us your race," and he reached the level of race where you make grammatical errors. He said, "I apologize for using the word Hispanic, but I was not wrong. Again, these are Hispanic. Reality is they are Hispanic. There's nothing to be ashamed with." Seems that this man can't tell a difference between Hispanic and undocumented person, because in this next sentence he says he will go back to the bill and amend the language from Hispanic to undocumented here illegally or something like that. This politician grammatically struggles, can't seem to tell the difference between an undocumented person and a Hispanic person, which he probably views both as the same group, and apparently has a hatred of Hispanic people for whatever reason. Republicans will be like, "You didn't read the new version of the bill," and I read the bill. The amended version would clarify the bill targets gang members of Hispanic descent. It felt the need to point out their ethnicity. Dude, you can tell that the bill still has racial animus, which the bill's author does toward a group of people. He's even ignoring requests for comment. The bill purely singles out Hispanic people. There is no other racial or ethnic group that is singled out in the bill. State Senator Michael Brooks said to have a law to treat people differently based on their race or ethnicity only creates greater divide, and the bill is fatally flawed. I don't know if there's much of a way to be able to change it. This bill is just phobic, racist, and deserves to go into the trash.
Dude, what is this obsession with Hispanics? What is the people's need and obsession to label us as freaking terrorists? Like, for real. Oklahoma wants to introduce a bill that will label Hispanics as terrorists. Okay, if you read into what the law is about, it's calling gang members or whatever. But y'all act like only Hispanics are in gangs. There's a lot of people in gangs. There's black people in gangs. There's white people in gangs. There's motorcycle gangs. There's Asian gangs. But why do they specifically have to name Hispanic gang members as? Because the last I knew, we were not at the Capitol building trying to cause an insurrection. We weren't at our government buildings in places. We weren't at any huge place committing mass in some way. So what is your guys' obsession with calling Hispanics do? Are y'all that afraid of us? Like, really? Are you guys that afraid? When I get people from the other side in my comments, the number one thing I see is we can't let them take over. And that infuriates me for so many reasons. One, Hispanics as a whole, don't come at me. Hispanics as a whole don't mind being the white man's. They don't mind. All they want is to work. They want to have money. They want to party on the weekends with their family and their friends. And they want to go home. They want to send money back to their families. Maybe visit them occasionally. But other than that, that's all. They're not interested in power. They're not interested in taking over. Because I think if we were, with the numbers that we have right now, we probably would have by now. But they're not interested in that. All we want is to live normal lives. Because, see, we are in the middle of everything. We are not black, but we are not white. We are in the middle. So, and we're not also indigenous enough either. We're in the middle. We're too colonized to be indigenous. We're too indigenous to be white. We're too white to be Spanish is what I mean. We're too white for that. or something. So when we decide that, like Mexicans in particular, I'm talking about now, that we decide that we're just comfortable being ourselves, people are angry about it.
Something truly startling unfolded as I was watching the reaction videos. Many of those in the reaction videos are from our Hispanic friends. Yet, where is the solidarity from the rest of us, huh? As members of the global community and champions of freedom, we should stand united regardless of race, ethnicity, or background, especially when we witness injustice. For our Hispanic brothers and sisters, this situation is deeply unfair. The last reaction video featuring a sister on the verge of tears was particularly moving. She, like many others, is undoubtedly worried about her family's state. It is very important to recognize that when women are faced with situations like this, they often process such events with profound emotion, reflecting the nurturing instincts of motherhood. Let us offer support to our Hispanic friends during this difficult time. If you know anyone who is Hispanic, offer words of encouragement and assurance, reminding them that this too shall pass and that we will overcome this challenge together. When one group faces a threat, it jeopardizes all of us. So for a very long time now, the state of Oklahoma has faced numerous concerning challenges, including human trafficking, drug misuse, and other illicit activities. This proposed bill is just one of several strategies aimed at combating these issues. However, the bill's focus on only one particular group, which is people of Hispanic descent, raises significant concerns. It reflects a bias that fails to acknowledge the diverse backgrounds of those involved in such activities. Blaming one particular group for these problems is not only illogical, but also discriminatory and unjust. Because everybody from any community and any background is capable of doing something dark. And police officers themselves know this, even the law knows this. The fact that these people ignore such facts is very profound and alarming. So the bill known as HB 3133, initially branded as a tool to combat gang-related activities, ignited a firestorm for its discriminatory language targeting Hispanic individuals. The proposal faced swift condemnation, drawing sharp criticism for its labeling of Hispanic gang members as a threat, and the inclusion of measures like asset forfeiture for those convicted. In response to mounting pressure, Representative Humphrey issued an apology, vowing to revise the bill's language. The amended version aims to focus on undocumented individuals involved in criminal activities, shifting away from singling out individuals of Hispanic descent. However, despite these proposed challenges, the bill continues to face backlash for perpetuating racial discrimination and threatening to deepen divides within communities. Of course, it's gonna face backlash because its originality comes from discrimination. And so long as this bill will exist, people are gonna look at it as the bill that wanted to discriminate Hispanics and label them as the threat of the world. As the debate rages on, it is crucial to recognize that the language and focus of HB 3133 remain subject to ongoing debate and revisions. The final iteration of the legislation could carry significant implications for Oklahoma's diverse population. So they're promising to continue revising the bill and basically saying that people shouldn't be worried. The reassurance that the bill has been revised may ease concerns within the Hispanic community, but it also sheds light on the flaws within our political system. This incident serves as a stark reminder of how those in positions of power can make errors in their legislation, prompting us to question the historical influences shaping our democracy. So imagine how all these laws have come into being. Just imagine the flaws that they've gone through. Imagine the people that have suffered on the hands of those that are racially discriminatory towards one group in creating laws that we now know as democratic laws. It is crucial to scrutinize the political language used, raising questions about whether the rhetoric employed by politicians is accurate and unfair, or if there are underlying motives at play beyond targeting the Hispanic community. And then the other alarming thing is that this politician that proposed this bill, it is believed that his diction is kind of flawed, because you know that every politician is supposed to have a political rhetoric, a diction that relates to its political agendas or to the political agendas of the government. But his diction is more of something that should be alarming to people and those that are in power, because the words of people in power and politicians have serious implications on the majority of us. Not only are these people elected to rule the majority, but they are also elected to consider making choices on behalf of all of us. So imagine if those in power are flawed and if their dictions are not considerate of marginalized communities. Just imagine the implications of that. Therefore, in closing, this discussion has shed light on the complexities of the Oklahoma bill controversy and its broader implications for our political landscape. While revisions have been made, the underlying issues of discrimination and flawed policymaking remain pertinent. As we navigate these challenges, let us remain vigilant, hold our elected officials accountable, and advocate for policies that uphold fairness and equality for all. Thank you for joining us on this critical conversation. Together, let us continue striving for a more inclusive and just society. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful discussions. Until next time, stay informed and engaged.